What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is AkeemHaynes. I'm a two-time Olympic bronze medalist, author, motivational speaker, and sports commentator. On my channel, we talk boxing, MMA, track and field, and of course, motivation and encouraging content. If this is something that you enjoy, then I hope that you subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into the video. Brandon Figueroa versus Mark Magsayo. This is an exciting matchup and is sure to have a lot of punches being thrown, some big shots being landed. This is for the interim WBC featherweight title. So this is a pretty big fight, as well as it is a very entertaining fight, going to be a very entertaining fight. Let's get into it. Let's start with Brandon Figueroa. 23 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 18 wins by way of knockout. Figueroa is relentless in how he fights. He has 18 wins by knockout, but it's how he gets those knockouts, right? He wears you down. He applies what I like to call calculated pressure, because it looks like he's just sitting in the pocket and just throwing shots. And to some, it might look like that, but Figueroa operates from that position at an elite level, from in close range. It's hooks to the body, it's hooks to the head, it's combinations, it's subtle uppercuts, it's looping shots, it's constant shots, it's constant offense every single round. And every shot adds up, and it just weakens his opponent as the rounds go on. It starts to wear you down. It's like he plays the long game. With the exception of 5 fights that he's won by knockout, he's taken out 6 of his opponents after 6 rounds and up. In his last fight, he won that in the 6th round. The fight before that against Luis Neri, he won that in the 7th round. Fight before that in the 10th round. So I'm not expecting a knockout in the early part of this fight, if a knockout does happen. Now, Brandon Figueroa isn't the best defensive guy, right? He's been working on it, yes, but he gets hit often and he gets hit a lot. He's not hard to miss. So we know he's got a strong chin, because against a puncher like Luis Neri, when they fought, he got caught with some big shots in the 1st round, in the 2nd round, and the 4th round, but he kept coming. He kept throwing. So he was getting hit, but he's throwing shots back as well. So he's not a sitting duck who is just sitting there waiting to get taken advantage of, right? He is throwing shots even when he is getting hit. Now, when he fought Stephen Fulton, people figured that Figueroa won that fight, and they said Figueroa got robbed, but I don't think he got robbed. I thought Fulton actually won the fight. Fulton landed, to me, the more cleaner punches, caught him with good counters. I was actually a little bit surprised how well Fulton fought with a style like Figueroa, with that constant pressure inside the pocket type of fight like that, right? He found Figueroa's rhythm and cadence and took advantage of the spots that were there without getting into too much danger, right? Very good fight, very exciting fight. I would love to see that rematch, but obviously Steve Fulton is going to fight in a way, so that is going to wait a little bit longer. But it also showed that Figueroa is a championship fighter and is a tough night for anybody. So after the loss, he comes back and he fights Carlos Castro, right? And he comes out in the few rounds of that fight. And I remember watching that fight thinking to myself, wait a minute, this isn't the Brandon Figueroa that I know. This is not the guy that we're accustomed to. The pressure wasn't really there, right? He was taking his time a little bit more, using the jab. He was trying to box, right? Trying to be more of a boxer from the outside, right? And I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that against this guy. That's not the type of style to beat this guy. Go back to being you. Go back to that relentless pressure that you usually put on your opponents. And it seemed like after the 3rd or the 4th round, he went back to the corner and was just like, man, I'm going back to how I used to do this thing. And he switched back to his style of fighting, and Castro did not stand a chance from there, and he got the win by stoppage. This is a guy who can drag you out into deep waters, as they say, and frustrate you, right? He doesn't let you take a round off, because he doesn't take a round off. He comes in extremely well conditioned, because he doesn't slow down, right? The more intense the fight is, the stronger he seems to get. And this is a fight that I'm not expecting him to slow down by no means. Even though Magsayo is a dangerous fighter with power, his power isn't to be played with. Figueroa is not one to be played with either. He is going to make you earn every single round against him. But let's talk about his opponent, Mark Magsayo. 24 wins, 1 loss, 16 wins by way of knockout, the former WBC featherweight champion. You know he's strong. You know he's explosive. You know he's well-conditioned, and he's got a right hand that can put people to sleep. When he connects with his shots, best believe his opponents are definitely going to feel it. Now, when I look at Magsayo, right, he reminds me of the other great Filipino boxer, Manny Pacquiao, right, in the way how their mannerisms are, how they feint, the explosive output in flurries, the way they both bounce on their toes throughout the fight. No coincidence, because they had the same coach, Freddie Roach. Now, from my understanding, he parted ways with Freddie Roach last year and is now working under Marvin Samadio, who learned under Freddie Roach. So it seems like it's the same group, but a younger trainer might be able to see something different, who can give you a different look. You know, older trainers are often set in their ways, and as times are changing, sometimes the younger generation can see something differently and might be able to fit Magsayo's style a little bit more. But we'll see how it goes, right? It's going to be interesting to see what he does look like with this new trainer and the changes that he has been able to make since his last fight. Now, Magsayo, man, is naturally talented, right? His reflexes are quick. He's a dynamic athlete that can get in and out of spots quickly in the same cadence and flow and not lack power at the same time. He's at his best to me when he's fighting in that mid-distance range where he can feint in and hit you and pop back out. That distance where he can distract you with a jab and close out the show with the right hand right down the middle. You can't let him get comfortable in that mid-distance position, right? I remember his fight against Pablo Cruz in that 4th round where Pablo was using the jab to back him up, but he wasn't following up with anything to make Mark Magsayo weary or worried about coming in. Magsayo stayed in that sweet spot, that range that he likes, that comfortable mid-distance range that he liked. And he threw a looping left hook to make Cruz react, and that's what he did, right? Cruz put his hand up here, which left all of this open, and Mark Magsayo put that right hand straight down the middle and closed out that show. I mean, that was a hard, punishing shot. It literally took the air out of Cruz's body. Like, you could hear it, right? So he punches with bad intentions and he counters with bad intentions as well too. Then he goes to fight Gary Russell Jr., right? And he starts out hot, right? He's aggressive, catches Russell with shots to the body, uppercuts slipping in, countering Russell. He was doing some very good work in that fight. Then Russell hurts his shoulder, and that's when things got a little bit frustrating for me with Mark Magsayo, because I'm thinking to myself, man, he is short-handed, right? You have to be aggressive now. You have to let your hands go now. You have to start to impose your will now, because Gary Russell Jr. was fighting with one hand. If someone is fighting with one hand and you have the type of power and skill that you have and natural athletic ability, at worst, the worst thing that Gary Russell can do is send a hard jab. But it's a jab, it's not a hook. Yes, people have been knocked out by jabs before, but Gary Russell is not known to be a big puncher like that. So I was looking for Mark Magsayo to pounce on him, right? To really step up the pace of the tempo and just let the hands go. But he didn't do that, right? He didn't make the adjustments needed and kind of just fought the same fight. And I thought if he would have made those adjustments, right, I felt like he could have gotten the stoppage. Gary Russell Jr. was shorthanded and really couldn't do much that fight from an offensive standpoint, right? But it also goes to show how great of a boxer Gary Russell Jr. is, because he fought his way back into that fight with one hand. But I would just have liked to have seen Mark Magsayo make that adjustment and really, really start to impose his frame, because he definitely could have. He was doing so well when Gary Russell Jr. was not shorthanded, and to see that he did not make the adjustment when he was, that was very frustrating as someone who is a fan of Mark Magsayo. Now, going into his fight with Ray Vargas I thought Vargas would win. Right? Not that Mark Magsayo couldn't win the fight. I mean, he caught Vargas with a shot in the 9th round that dropped him. It was just more of the fact that Magsayo is often so committed to the game plan that he doesn't always adjust on the fly in real time. Ray Vargas, especially in that division, who's been one of the longer standing champions in that division, he'll make the adjustments when it's needed, right? He'll switch things up, and that's why I thought that he would win. But Magsayo always has a backup plan, and that right hand almost got him the win in that fight. So who wins? At first, I was swaying to one side. Then as I'm making this video and speaking it out, I'm swaying to the other side. I think this is a 50-50 fight, right? But I'm taking Brandon Figueroa to win by decision. I think Figueroa is going to be able to smother some of Magsayo's work. Magsayo isn't the best inside fighter, I would say, right? He likes to be in that comfortable mid-distance stance as we've talked about, where his athleticism can be showcased. But how is he going to fare when someone is right in his space every single round? What will he do when he is in extremely uncomfortable positions for not just a few rounds, but every single round, right? But at the same time, you can't count him out because he has that one shot that could change the whole fight, right? We know that Figueroa isn't the best defensive fighter, right? He does get hit a lot. But can Mark Magsayo find the right shot when he's constantly under pressure? Maybe, yes, it's always a possibility. It's a fight. Anything can happen. But I just think Figueroa's volume and in close range battles, man, he often has a way of sucking fighters into fighting his fight. And I think his fight kind of neutralize some of that athleticism that Mark Magsayo has. So I have Brandon Figueroa winning this fight by decision. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.